while since I've done one of these, and I'm quite glad to be doing it. This is the first of many. I picked up a whole bunch of books, so I've got a ton of stuff to review. So this is the first of many coming down the pipe. I'm gonna probably do at least one of these a week. So hope you guys enjoy it. I asked you guys in the community tab thing if you would mind if I did more of these, and most of you seem totally cool with it. So yeah, I like doing them. Fundamentally, this channel is about art, comics, all that stuff. I do draw for a living. I am a comic artist, so I'm going to talk about comics. It's what I do. So thanks for coming around. Thanks for checking the video out. Like, subscribe if you enjoy the content, all that stuff. Stick around. There's going to be a lot more. So here we go. We've got The Regiment, The True Story of the SAS, Book 1, written by Vincent Brugeas and art by Thomas Legrain. Now, right out of the gate, this is from Comixology. This isn't obviously a hard copy. I'm looking at this on Comixology, and it was $6 Canadian for 63 pages. That is really good value for your money when it comes down to it. Marvel books are running at around $5 Canadian for a digital copy of about 16 crappy pages of 16 pages of crappy art, crappy everything for the most part. So this is really good value for money. And what this is you can see right off the bat that this is a European book. This is a French book that has been translated into English. And you can tell just right off the bat, looking at this art, this feels very European. And the publishing imprint is Europe Comics, which I've never heard of before. But anyhow, what's it about? Here we go. I'm going to read what they tell me it's about, or they tell us it's about. It's 1941. Almost all of Europe is under the Nazis' heel. Great Britain continues to hold out, but the situation worsens with every passing day. And in North Africa, gateway to the Middle East and its immense oil reserves, Rommel now threatens Egypt, keystone of the British defenses. In those desperate times, three men, David Stirling, Blair Mayne, and Jock, Lewes, three unconventional officers band together to create a small elite unit that will become a military legend, the SAS. And as the byline says, it's the true story of the SAS. And I looked into it, and it turns out that these three characters that you see here on the cover are actually real life people. And yeah, so it's quite interesting. And a good chunk of the book, the final 10 pages or so, is supplemental material about these guys and the true story about the formation of the SAS and what they did. And I think that this is book 1 of 2. I believe there's one other volume after this. So you can get the whole thing, the entire story, a couple books for $15, or pick up the hard copy. I would suggest the hard copy, but that doesn't mean I'm going to completely recommend this. It gets a almost recommend. I mean, it depends if you're into the material. If you're into this type of stuff, if you're a World War II buff, then I would definitely recommend it for you. But I'll get into it and kind of my gripes about it. I have complicated feelings about this, and it feels a little bit close to home just because of the book that I am working on myself right now called In Search of Hannibal, with a guy by the name of Nicholas Lloyd, Lindy Beige. He's writing this In Search of Hannibal thing, and I can see just reading this book just makes me see all the stuff that I'm dealing with in a way with In Search of Hannibal and how I'm approaching the art. And yeah, so let's get into it. First off, great looking cover. Very nice cover. And throughout the whole thing, it's just consistent. It is consistent across the board. The vehicles, especially in this, are just amazing. And the vehicles and the attention to detail there is representative of the entire thing. You can tell that they spent just a lot of time, that the artist was just deep immersed in reference material for this project. You can tell everything feels like it's just thought out. Nothing feels kind of made up. Everything is, you can tell, just thoroughly referenced, and it shows, and it creates a living, breathing world that you feel exists. It's just beautiful. So yeah, with that being said, let's kind of dig into it a bit. I have to be a bit wary about how much I show you. I don't want to get a copyright ding, but yeah, let's get into it. So I'll do the double page spread thing. So here, this is one of the opening scenes, and probably one of my favorite pages just because of the color. It's kind of something that's lacking in this. There's a lack of color. It's very beige. I mean, a lot of it takes place in the desert, but it still feels very washed out. And when it comes to comics, I like to see color. So anyhow, but as you can see, it's just beautifully drawn. Usually the artists who do these types of books, like these European Franco-Belgian format comics, they usually get about a year to do a single volume, which is about 52 pages or so, 48, 50 pages. And yeah, it's at least a year, sometimes even more. So you can really tell that they got to spend a lot of TLC on this, just getting it tight. And that tightness is actually part of the problem that I have with it. But it's very pretty. It's very pretty. It's a very nice looking book. But I just want you to notice something looking at this page, and this is kind of my beef with it. And again, I'm not slagging the art, because I'm the first one to say hands down that this is absolutely beautiful. But it's just an observation. I just want you to notice this when you look at comics. Now, look at the angle here. It's eye level, eye level. I get this. This is a time transition, so fine. Eye level, eye level, eye level, eye level, eye level. You get the idea, right? Every single shot here is all eye level. And that's my beef. I feel like this isn't the most exciting angle for this. I mean, the mountains look great and you get the idea, but it just feels like every shot in this entire book is like this. It's all at the exact same kind of eye level. I can go to any page and see what I mean? Eye level, eye level. You can just zigzag across the page. You can just see, here's something. Okay, there's a change up. We're at a bit of a slightly elevated angle there. But for the most part, you can see that it's very much at eye level, and it's very pretty. It's very well drawn. And again, as I was saying about the attention to detail with the vehicles, check that out. I mean, it's just, I love that. You can, this is torture for an artist, by the way. This to me is like a certain level of hell, having to draw this stuff, especially vehicles. Holy man. I would rather draw horses any day than vehicles. This is just torture. So hats off to the artist for the great work that he did do. And when I'm nitpicking the sort of the flatness of it, it's just something that I've seen with a lot of, I'll just say European books. Here's a really nice spread that I quite liked here. Oh, of course, Comixology isn't going to load it. God damn it. Okay. Well, are you going to... Okay. Finally. Okay, there you go. Comixology. Anyhow, really nice. Like, just the draftsmanship in here. You know, this is Cairo, and that architecture, the details, you feel like this is very well thought out, well looked into, and it feels alive. It feels like a real thing. However, again, it's all eye level. Everything is eye level. It's very well done, but it's very flat. And this is a beef that I have with a lot of European books, you know, hashtag not all, whatever. You get the idea. It's something like, I was raised on American comics. I was raised on American comics specifically in the 90s, which is a weird time for comics because everything was just like a hyped up on Red Bull and cranked up to 11 and over the top. And a lot of the artists that I was really into, you know, back then, when I look at them now, it's like, holy crap, these people had no idea what anatomy or anything. It's like their excitement and their ambition fueled everything, and they just had all this energy that just exploded onto the page. And it was great. It was fun. It didn't matter if it was perfect. It didn't matter if stuff was a bit wonky. There was so much energy in it and so much vibrancy that it just jumped off the page and kind of punched you in the face, and it was just exciting. And this is beautiful art here in this book that I'm showing you now. It's absolutely stunning, but I just wish that this artist would go and watch, what is it? There's an anime called Redline. Go check it out. It's completely insane. It's quite good. It's called Redline. It's by Takeshi Kiyoki, and it's totally nuts. And I just wish that this guy would go watch that and then come back to this or something. And because you can still add dynamic energy to stuff and be faithful to or not be faithful to the material, but still have respect for the material. It's not about just making it trashy and flaky and sugary. It's about making it exciting. And this is something that, as far as it being kind of close to home, this is something that I battle with Lindy Beige with all the time with In Search of Hannibal. You know, it's we just have two completely different ways of looking at art, and you know, I feel like I know what works, you know, for my art especially, and it's like these kind of two sensibilities going on, and I can see it because it's sort of there's an ocean in the way, and there's, you know, there is European comics, and then there's American comics, and I'm kind of coming from the American camp, and I have extreme appreciation for this art. I mean, every panel in here is just absolutely gorgeous. I think it's just beautiful. However, I also know that there's this other world out there of American comics that do have something positive to contribute, that they could take notes from each other and learn from each other and kind of get the best of both worlds. And I think that's the thing with Hannibal, is that I'm kind of going for the best of those two worlds, kind of doing a mashup. So the art here, I cannot give it a thumbs down. That's impossible. This is just me trying to like get you to think about comics in a little bit of a different way, in a sense, and just consider what you're looking at a little bit more. It's again, flat, but beautifully flat. So now what about the story? This, for me, doesn't hold up. This is a story about the SAS. This is really exciting stuff. The kind of adventure that these guys had is incredible. Yet I didn't feel like I was pulled into that kind of excitement. It started off kind of, you know, in the beginning, and it sort of introduces you as, okay, here's what this is about. This is about the SAS. Now let's go back to the very beginning and tell you what happened on day one, going through these various stages of training and everything else. And I would have much preferred it if it actually just dropped you straight into the action. This is a beautiful page, by the way, on the right here. Look at that. That is just, God damn, that's gorgeous. Look at that. Whew. That is so nice. Yeah, so I would have preferred it if they would have just started off, like, just drop you right into the action. Don't do a slow build. Just drop us right into the action, and it's exciting, so let's make it exciting. I feel like it was a little bit lacking. It was a little bit, dare I say, kind of dull, considering what the subject matter is. And I get it, these are real people, and they want to be faithful to the events that happened, and they should be, and you can be, but you can still lead with the excitement. And I didn't really feel that. I felt like it was a little bit just sort of limp on that front. And it's really unfortunate, because it's a fascinating story, and these are really interesting people. And that's where, at the end of it all, regardless, once you're finished the book, what you have, which is just great. This is such a cool idea. And we got to do this with Hannibal. We're going to do something like this. But at the very end, what you've got here is you've got this breakdown of the real people. You've got photos of the real guys. I mean, look, check out this guy. I mean, they all look like movie stars. And it's such a great bit of supplemental material at the end of the book. And you've got several pages of this to back it up. And it's just, I found this more interesting than the comic. And how terrible is that? You know, I should have found the comic far more exciting than this, but yeah, I really quite enjoyed this material at the back here. Really interesting and really cool to see. And as kind of a history nerd, I really appreciate this stuff. And this is something that we're going to do with Hannibal. Obviously, we're going to have some supplemental stuff to go along with it to beef it up a bit. As a whole, I got to look back and I got to think, you know, this was $6 for 63 pages. And, you know, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's incredible value for money. And it is a beautiful book. It's a really, really, really nice book. And the story itself, it's definitely for people that are interested in this material. So if you're a World War II buff, if you're a history buff, I recommend this because I think that you would enjoy it for sure if you're a fan of the material. If you're not, I don't know if I can totally recommend it to you, just because I think I just don't think it's engaging enough. I don't think it really will pull in the average person into this subject matter effectively. Yeah, and also I got to say too that it could be the translation. This is something that's gone from French to English, so there's always something lost in that. That's a huge thing. We have to consider that as well. So it's so close to a complete recommend, but it's a definite recommend to anybody who, like I said, is interested in the material. I don't know if I'll pick up the next one or not. I might just hold off and maybe wait and see if they collect it into a full thing, and then get like a double volume whammy put together. We'll have to see. But overall, yeah, it really depends if this floats your boat. So if you're, I know I have quite a few viewers in England, and if you're English, this hits close to home because it's SAS. This is these are your guys, so this might be very different for you, and you might feel much more connected to it. So that might push you over the edge and want you to check it out. So either way, a lovely book. And if I zoom out and I look at a lot of the stuff on the shelves right now, it's mostly garbage. So this absolutely does stand out, for sure. And I'm probably just being nitpicky. but hey, anyhow, I think that's going to wrap this one up. I'm going to do Iron Man next. I've got some new Iron Man series. I'm due to do a Marvel book. I haven't read anything by them in ages, so I'll check that out. But yeah, again, man, look at these vehicles. So beautiful draftsmanship, really beautiful draftsmanship. And another thing that kind of just bugged me a little bit, these word balloons. I found them really strange, and I don't know who made this decision. I don't know if this was the artist. I kind of doubt it, because it says at the beginning that there was an art director on this project, and I feel like this is a decision that somebody else made. But the lettering and the balloons are they're very weird. They're very weird to me. They're not very complimentary. And I know that when you're dealing with translations, you've got space issues, because you've got to compensate for the length of sentences and stuff like this. And it's a very difficult thing to do. But I just feel like this stuff takes away from the art itself. It's just not complimentary, and it's one of these little things with lettering. People always overlook it, and you've got this beautiful art that was just painstakingly put together, and then you've got these balloons that are just dumped on top of it. Could have been corrected. These little nicks on the sides, I don't understand what that is, and these jutting out little arrows. It's just very weird. I would have done that completely differently, and I bet you any money the artist looking at this wishes that they did a different job on these. Like, this is bad lettering. See this box here? This is bad. This would annoy the hell out of me if I was the guy who spent all the time drawing this. This would drive me nuts. Anyway, that's why I don't work with anybody. But thanks for coming by. See you in the next one. Have a good one.